Changes are coming to Utah State and Colorado State. College football is back, and so we're back on the big mountain to keep you updated. I have two items here on this Monday that I want to talk about, one being Utah State having a new athletic director, and then of course we're going to talk about Colorado State and a change at quarterback there for the Rams. But let's start with Utah State. It was announced Sunday, September 21st, that they have hired their new Vice President and Director of Athletics. That is Cameron Walker. Mr. Walker here will begin with the Aggies on Monday, October 6th, so 2 weeks from today. He has been at Utah Valley. He's been at UCF. Most recently, he was at the University of Tennessee, and he has been there since 2021. He currently serves as the Senior Director of Athletics and Chief Strategy Officer there at Tennessee. He's also been the Executive Director for the UT Athletics Foundation since July of this year. Walker here has been working alongside UT Vice Chancellor and Director of Athletics, Danny White, whom he actually came to Tennessee with from UCF. So they've been working together for quite some time. From 2018 to 2021, Walker worked at UCF, where he served as the lead compliance contact for football, also as a member of the Compliance and Athletics Committee. An announcement's going to be made here by the university in terms of having him there to answer questions and whatnot. Later this week, it was announced here yesterday on Sunday, but they'll have a more formal ceremony later this week. My connections here in talking about this confirmed that rev share and private equity are very high up on Mr. Walker's list. Kind of a guru in terms of those two items. He excels in the aspects of the profession and really has been mentored here by one of the best ADs in the country, as I mentioned, Danny White there at Tennessee. If he does well in this position, we could see him quickly move up the ranks here, possibly being a P2 AD in a few years, but a really nice hire here for Utah State. There were 4 finalists. The other 3 were Kent Haslam, Mark Hill, and Leon Jackson. In a Yahoo Sports article, it mentioned that Coach Mendenhall was consulted here with this hire and said that he was a part of this process and that it was a very extensive process. And also that the interim president here, Alan Smith, visited and met with all 4 of the finalists. Bronco mentioned that he appreciates the prioritization of football coming from Walker that can be seen there at the University of Tennessee. He also mentioned Walker's experience with revenue sharing and in that NIL environment. The university here used both a search firm and a search committee and had a lot of interaction with the coaches. So there we have it, some news coming out of Utah State. They have found their next Director of Athletics. We also have some news coming out of Fort Collins today. The Rams are going to be making a quarterback change. Jay Norvell announced at today's press conference that redshirt sophomore quarterback Jackson Brusso is going to be the starter for this week's game versus Washington State. Brusso came into the game here this past week for the Rams against UTSA. There in the fourth quarter, he authored 2 touchdown scoring drives in a comeback effort that fell just short, but he finishes the game in just less than a quarter, 10 of 12 for 78 yards and a touchdown. He also rushed one time for 6 yards. So an offense that really struggled most of that game. He comes in and puts together 2 great drives, 2 scoring drives here for the Rams. So they're making this flop. He's replacing Fala Nicolosi, who started 27 consecutive games for the Rams until this change. Brusso here is 6'5", about 215 pounds. He's from Utah. He committed to CSU back in 22, enrolled there in 2023. And this is an interesting time for the Rams as they have started this season 1-2 and really just squeaking out that victory versus Northern Colorado a week ago. Norvell here, who has been kind of known for his offense, really has seen this quarterback in Fowler Nicolosi kind of digress over the last 2 seasons. As a freshman here, Braden had a 62% completion rating, 22 touchdowns, did have 16 interceptions, but threw the ball 470 times. And of course, he's a freshman. You would expect him to make some mistakes there. You kind of look past that 16 interceptions there and looked like he was going to be the next big quarterback coming out of the Mountain West. When they look here into last year, they look for a little bit more of a balanced attack. They wanted to use that run game a little bit more, so he only threw for 380 times last season. Still a 60% completion rating. Touchdowns were down to only 14, but still threw 9 interceptions. So 14 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, not really what you're looking for there in his second year as the starter. And then this year, he's only been throwing at 54% completion rate. He only has 1 touchdown in those 3 games and 2 interceptions. So the turnovers here are really something you just can no longer kind of gloss over here being a 3-year starter for the Rams. His passer rating has decreased every year. So again, a kid that you thought was going to be one of the power quarterbacks within the Mountain West. It doesn't look like it's happening right now for the Rams, for Coach Norvell, or for quarterback Fowler Nicolosi. And I'll tell you what, Norvell here, absolutely very much on the hot seat. I know Rams fans are kind of tired of putting up with this team right now. You know, they squeaked out a winning record last year, but, you know, we're going to see what happens here as they turn to a new starter. In a very small sample size, he looked good, but we'll see what he can do here against Wazoo, against a team that's struggling on their own here a little bit. So should be a decent first game here for this kid coming in as the new starter for the Rams. But Norvell here, you know, he came into Fort Collins here in 2022, making all those headlines, leaving Nevada, bringing a lot of players with him. He signed a 5-year deal, was worth $9 million. The buyout clause in this year, 2025, is $1.5 million. So he still does have another year on his deal for 2026. The contract included a lot of bonuses for on-field successes, which of course the Rams fans and the university thought they'd be getting here with Norvell, but he's only had 1 winning season, of course that coming last year, but then he has a bowl loss. Again, the only time he's gone to a bowl game there with the Rams. A loss to Miami of Ohio in the Arizona Bowl, 43-17. So not a really good showing in the Arizona Bowl last year. So absolutely on the hot seat, kind of putting all his eggs, in my opinion, into this new redshirt freshman quarterback to try and turn things around here for the offense with the Rams. So something we're going to have to keep an eye on. What happens with the Rams this year, starting 1-2? They've got a Wazoo game that is absolutely winnable, but they have a much more difficult conference schedule here in 2025 than what they had last year. So we'll follow that on the Big Mountain. Hey, we thank you guys for watching us here. We keep you updated on everything Mountain West. Make sure you like this episode, subscribe if you like our content. We'll see you next time on the Big Mountain.